What's up, guys? So today I'm going to be talking about the the non-negotiables in our system and why they're non-negotiable. The other day I made a video about being able to adapt and pivot, which that is huge, crucial part of this. It's pretty much everything that runs this. As I tell my team, we're just problem solvers. So we need to adapt on the fly and solve problems. For example, using our preferred title companies. So there's been a couple times, honestly, here even recently, I've went against my rule, but we've give too much leadway and let the buyer use their title company. This came with a ton of problems. None of these deals, well, one of the deals recently went fine. But other than that, the last few deals that we have decided, hey, okay, we'll go with your title. I understand it makes you comfortable. It has been a shit show. These were multiple different title companies and nothing against them, but we just didn't have our built relationship with them and know how the process and system works. And every title company is different. So it just became a pain in the rear. So one of our non-negotiables now is we have like three title companies here in Ohio we'll use. The buyer, if they want to use one of those three, they can choose. But we're not going to continue to try to use these other companies. It's not worth our time. It becomes a headache. We end up putting more time in it than worth. And it just takes up so much time and creates headache. An example would be a deal that we could close with one of our known preferred title companies. If everything's in place, we have the contract, we have the buyer, EMD's in, and we're just waiting to close. As long as there's nothing crazy that pops up, our title companies can normally get that done in like a week. Worst case, two. These other title companies that we tried to use for these buyers, I mean, geez, some of them were a month, and literally, I mean, think of how much time that sucked up from our team. Instead of being able to focus on these other deals or get new deals or get new buyers or anything, we're being drugged behind by this just anchor of a shit deal because of a title company. They can really, a lot of deals fall apart at title, whether it's because of the title company or just title issues. But I have now determined like we're using one of these three title companies is what it is. I tell my team all the time, deal from strength. Like if we have a great buyer and the only way he's going to do it is use X title company that we've never used, he's not our buyer anymore. Don't add him to our list if he's not willing to adhere to our process and how we do things. We don't need him. We have plenty of buyers, and it shouldn't be that big of a deal. There's too many things that can go wrong, and every time we add more elements, it just compounds the chances of something going wrong. So we need to keep everything as efficient as possible and as consistent as possible. Another non-negotiable that we kind of got lackadaisical on there for a while, and it just, some buyers will give you, negative feedback on this, but if they're legit real buyers, it won't matter. And so this is part of our vetting process of, even if we have a deal that the ARV's 50,000, we're making sure they're putting at least $3,000 earnest money in within 48 hours. Anything that's say 80 grand above ARV, we're probably looking at 5,000. Once we get up into maybe, closer to 200,000 range, we may bump that to 10,000. And this is going to help vet buyers because a shit buyer, daisy chainer, whatever, like they're going to fight back on that. They ain't going to like it. A real buyer is going to be like, okay, cool, no problem. I mean, what's 5 grand? I'm about to have to wire you, 80 grand in a week. So if you can't come up with 5 grand now, how are you going to come up with 80 grand in a week? So that is a non-negotiable. The only way I let that kind of slide and we get a little loose on it, we still we always ask for EMD, but if it's a buyer that I've done, we'll say 4 or 5 plus deals with, I know, they're legit. We've went through this process. It's easy. It's just a smooth, clean deal. I may drop it down to like 1,000, 2,000, just to show, like, it's a relationship business, to show the gratitude and the, hey, I trust you. So that one's a little flexible, but 99% of the time we're not moving that rule. And there's a couple other things that are non-negotiables, but just for the overview of my point here is, people don't go into Walmart and ask them to change their policy. Maybe at Burger King you have it your way half-assed with a shitty Whopper, but I mean, you're not going into CVS and being like, hey, I want you to stock the items this way, or hey, I want you to change your hours. Like, it's just, it's dumb. I mean, you wouldn't even think of doing that. So there's nothing different here. We're a business. We're a legit business. Like, we're doing deals. Just remember, the adapt and pivot is to solve problems, not adapt and pivot to what is convenient to others. So, deal from strength, embrace no, just always. I mean, I promise you, if you just stick to your rules, deal from strength, you're going to, one, gain respect from buyers, and two, all of your deals are going to go a lot smoother. So, appreciate it. Be back on the live calls tomorrow, and I'll see you then.